Hey whimsical musical teachers! It's almost the last week or weeks of school. I know some of you don't end until June as you're watching this. I end in May, but I wanted to get this out sooner than later. I don't know about you, but I don't like thinking about school at all, honestly, until like beginning of July or the last 2 weeks of summer. So I take all of June off. I am not thinking about school at that time, but in order to do that, I do have to make sure that I accomplish a couple of things at school at the end of the year before I leave for summer break. And so this video is going to talk you through the 4 things that I always try to complete before I leave my classroom at the end of the year on the last couple of teacher planning days that we get, so that when I come back to work, I already feel slightly ahead of the curve. Now, do I always get to these? No. Is it good practice to try to get to these at the end of the year? Yes. So this video is just to help you think about what you need to do before you leave your classroom and finally go on official summer break mode. So with that, let's just get started and dive in to number 1. But before we dive in, maybe you don't know who I am. My name's Rainey Barton and I teach elementary music and also middle school theater. I've been doing it for about 7 years now, and I made this channel to help other music teachers inspire a love and appreciation of music in the heart of every child they teach. And we do that through lesson plan tips and strategies and curriculum ideas and all sorts of stuff. So if you're interested in that, please like and subscribe down to my channel below. It really will help my channel grow. But now that we've gotten introductions out of the way, let's just dive into the 4 things that you should do in your classroom before summer break. And the number 1 thing that you should do is to take inventory. You need to take inventory of what supplies and materials and instruments that you have, what you're running low on, and what you would like to have. And I would recommend doing this all digitally so that you have it accessible anywhere, in case you're working on this at home, in case you're working on this in your classroom, in case you're working on it, I don't know, at a faculty meeting, wherever it needs to be. And the sort of stuff that should be on that list should be things like classroom supplies, like if you actually need crayons and pencils and clipboards and staplers and all of that stuff, because sometimes you need that in a music room. Instruments, including what instruments do you currently have, what do you have that's broken and needs to get fixed, what are you missing that someone borrowed from you, what are you wanting in your classroom that you don't have enough of. You need to think of all of those sorts of things. And then manipulatives. So things like maybe you want a parachute and you just don't have one. Or maybe your school's parachute is breaking down. Or you want ribbon streamers. Or you need to order another part or another amount of ribbon streamers. Like whatever it is, these other extra manipulatives. Maybe you need little tiny erasers to use as bingo chips, because that's what I use in my classroom for them. You need to take inventory so that when you come into the new school year, you already know what to expect. And then also, most people, if you haven't used your budget by the end of the school year, then this is the perfect time for you to go like, oh, I need to finish using my budget up for the end of the year, and now I know what I need and what I need to get fixed and all that, and I can just go bam, 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 this is what I want, and it doesn't take you quite as long to make that list of items that you need to buy. I'm not speaking this as if I need to do this myself, but it's kind of been hard since I'm on maternity leave and I'm not in my classroom, so there you go, but it is what it is. All right. So make sure you take inventory of what is in your classroom and what's not so that you can be prepared for the upcoming year. The second thing that you need to do is you need to declutter your space, both physically and digitally. So the end of the year is the perfect time to purge. There are probably tons of old papers that you've graded, probably items that have been broken, things that you keep saying, oh, I'll get to this, but you never actually use it. This is the time to get rid of all of that. You do not want to start the new year with all of your old stuff still there. You could make a donation box to put in the teacher's lounge or email teachers to let you know that certain things are up for grabs in case they do want stuff like that just before you toss it. I know my school does that. And so last year I got one of the bookcases in my classroom because a teacher had emailed out saying, we don't need this bookcase anymore. It's first come, first serve. So if you have stuff like furniture or even like extra folders or a filing cabinet or like whatever it is, you could go that route first. And then if it's trash, just trash it. And if you're never going to use it, get rid of it. But this also includes putting away or storing anything that needs to come out of the classroom. So for example, my classroom is used for summer camps because I have one of the biggest rooms on campus. And so I have learned I cannot leave out anything that I wouldn't want the students messing with. Like my instruments, my books, my stuffed animals. I learned that the hard way, unfortunately. So this is when all that stuff goes into my storage closet. So maybe your room is used for that sort of stuff. Maybe it's not. Maybe you're just paranoid like me and you just want all that stuff stored away. This is the time to store things, but make sure you take pictures before and after you move stuff. This way, you know what goes where, and you know exactly where you put it so that you're not actively searching for things later. I am not speaking from experience on this. Oh yes, I am. So I always take pictures of what my classroom looks like before I take anything down. And then I also take pictures of where I put this box and this box and this box. So later when I'm like, homegirl, where did you put the box with your parachute in it? I can literally look at my pictures and go, oh, I put it here. So please do that. That's probably the most important thing in this tip alone to do. And then, like I said, you can also be decluttering digitally. This is also a really great time to declutter your Google Drive for your work and decluttering your school emails. There are probably a bunch of emails. Now, I will say, I've gotten to inbox 0 over the year, but there are definitely emails that I've stored that I can probably go back now and delete. Like, I don't need to keep every weekly update that my school has ever done. I keep putting it in a weekly update folder, but I know I don't need that. So this is the time to go in, delete emails that are not extremely crucial to what you need right now, and just organize and categorize your Google Drive. There's nothing better than opening it up and seeing that everything is in a folder and everything has its place and everything is titled and you know where everything is, instead of opening it up to pure chaos. So please make sure you like give yourself this blessing as well, so that you start out the school year with a freshened up email and Google Drive. You will appreciate it, I promise. Tip number 3 is to make a first week essentials box. And I actually got this from a blog post. And if I can remember whose blog post I got this from, I will link underneath here because I did not come up with this idea on my own. But basically, this is a box of items that you know you're going to need for teacher planning or for that first week of school when you're in your classroom before the kids come back. This also makes it really easy for you if you don't have time to fully unbox your classroom. Like before the kids start, you're still semi-ready to go. So that would be things like any music curriculum books that you need to start the year off, any technology you need to start the year off, so like remote controls, clickers, all that sort of stuff, and any materials or resources or classroom supplies that you know without a doubt that you use within the first 2 weeks of school. It goes inside this box. And so I actually did make this box. I went in last week to grab a couple of stuff from my classroom and I made this box to take home with me so that I could start figuring out my stuff for the next year, since I've been missing for the last month of school because I have a tiny 1-month-old baby now. This is a great first thing to do so that when you come to your classroom on that first day, you're like, oh, I need this, this, and this to make lesson plans for this year and to prepare for the first 2 weeks of school. I'm not having to actively dig around for it. I can start like getting to work on that immediately. So definitely make sure to make yourself a first week essentials box. And then my last tip for you is to plan your first week of lessons and sub-plans if you can already. You're already in the lesson planning flow right now. You're already making lesson plans all the time. You've been doing it all year. What is one more week to plan for? Because when you come back from summer break, your brain's going to be super foggy and it's going to take you way longer to plan. Trust me, I know. And I'm sure you probably know as well because you were not thinking of lesson planning during those 2 months. And if you were, props on you. Plan accordingly and try to plan your first week of lesson plans before you head out for the summer. You will be so happy that you did this. And probably you already kind of know what you do the first couple weeks of school because you probably repeat stuff. I mean, I know I repeat stuff, so like that's not going to be that hard for me, but just make it easy on yourself and repeat things. This stuff can go in that essentials box that you're making for the beginning of the year, like any copies that you need of paperwork, any curriculum, any resources. You could also use this time to not only create your lesson plans, but to create your subfolder. And I do have a video from a few weeks back that explained what I put inside of my subfolder for subs, so please go check that out. I still have to put up a video on what I include, like for sub plans, because I was going to do that and then I had the baby early, so that's going to come a little bit soon later. But you could prep your sub plan folder and maybe even have a few sets of emergency plans at the ready so that you're not having to stress for next year. That was one thing that this maternity thing helped with, is that I made an entire folder and like digital folder in Google Drive of all the stuff that the sub could do while I'm gone with my kids for over a month. And so I have like 50 to 60 immediate sub plans ready to go for a teacher, and they don't have to know how to teach music. They just have to grab the box or grab the digital file and go. And so I'm going to be sharing that in my sub, what I teach or what I leave for subs video soon. But that's just one thing to think about. You do need emergency sub plans, and most of the time we don't have them. And I don't know about you, but it's way more stressful to not be at school than it is to be at school, because then I have to do more work. I have to sit down and write sub plans, as opposed to if I'm just there, I can just figure it out on the spot, you know? So just make it easier for yourself and not only plan your beginning of year lesson plans, but write a couple emergency sub plans. Just do it at the end of the year while all that stuff is still fresh in your mind. and you'll be very glad that you did. And with that, if you are doing your first couple weeks of lesson plans and you're looking for song ideas and stuff, I do have, not only I have my sub plan folder, which I actually created, and I will link that underneath here for you in case you're wanting to have a sub plan folder that's just ready to go. But I also do have my songs and concept list where I made concept and song lists for all grades K through 5, and it has bunches of songs already loaded in there for you saying what each song covers concept-wise. So if you're like, I need that as inspiration for doing my lesson plans at the beginning of the year, then I will link that underneath here. I'll just link it right underneath here along with my like first week of school, like I guess first week of school get ready bundle that has like a slideshow and like the concept plans and like daily agenda slides and all of that, so that if you're thinking about that already for the new year, it'll all just be right underneath this video for you. So let's just go through the 4 topics one more time. So number 1, if you're going to take inventory. Number 2, if you're going to declutter your space both physically and digitally. Number 3 is that you're going to make a first week essentials box for you to make it so easier on yourself. And number 4, if you're going to plan your first week of lessons and some emergency sub plans. And so if you can get around to doing this before you leave for the summer, you are going to be so happy that you did. And I think it'll really just make you feel a lot better. Honestly, it will. And so I'm going in on one of these teacher sub plan days, either on Thursday or Friday, to like do this in my own classroom. I've decided I'm going to do that. So I'm going to also be doing this as well. So I hope this was helpful for you. Let me know in the comments down below if you plan on doing this, if you already do this, if there's one or something that I should be doing before the end of the school year that I missed, because I love learning from you guys as well. And I really do sometimes when you take the chance to comment down below. And with that, I will see you guys in a video next Monday. Bye.